Hello and what is going on today, guys? Tomcat here and welcome back to Forza Horizon 4 for a look at a very interesting car. This is the current Forzathon shop car that you can buy currently in the autumn season. Now, that is going to change, obviously, depending on when you're watching this video. It may or may not be the current Forzathon shop car, but I have never driven this car. I have never experienced it. I have no idea what this thing is going to perform like. So my goal with this is to try to see what it's like stock and then upgrade it a little bit, try to fit it into a certain class. We'll get some career races done with it, and then we might see if we can do anything else with it as well. So it looks absolutely terrifying just to look at. And when taking it out on the road, I'm going to give you guys like actual real-time live performance data using the telemetry, which, by the way, the telemetry, I've had questions from you guys about the telemetry. Basically, what you do is you need to go into your options, and I believe it's in HUD. Basically, what you do is, if I can get into my options and my settings, I'll show you guys how you can get to it. So you go over to HUD, and then, let's see. Now, no, telemetry is in controls because you have to swap, not difficulty. You have to, basically what you have to do is you have to switch Anna and telemetry. So now, instead of down on the D-pad being Anna, it's telemetry. And telemetry gives you all of this data. You can see your live horsepower, torque, boost, RPM, clutch on and off percentage, e-brake on and off percentage, and it'll give you all of that live performance data, which you really, really want. And at least I like to look at it because I think it's really cool and interesting stuff to see. So, without any further ado, let's see what this thing makes at peak boost. It's like 17.6 pounds stock, which is pretty damn good. Let's see, what are we making horsepower-wise? It's like 326 horsepower-ish, because it starts to fall off after like 6,500 RPM. So like about 500 RPM before redline, it starts to fall off. Good God, this interior is nothing but carbon and a cage. Oh, hi. We're not going to actually stop for dinner here. We're going to go somewhere else because they didn't invite us, but God, this thing actually, God, it sticks off a launch, doesn't it? God, that's in first gear. Oh, man. When you, like, actually try to launch it, it rides the clutch out really bad. Really bad. It seems to handle very well, though. Like, the turn-in is really sharp, and the car is really stable. Now, I don't know how I feel about it being such a high such a high PI class with only like 326 horsepower. Like, I feel like that's a little underpowered for its class, but my God, the handling. You could literally compare this thing to a, wow, I'm just not lifting. I'm literally just not lifting. I'm lifting here, but like you barely have to, though. That's all just flat. It's almost like it's got, and I know like some of you guys are going to be like, what? But it's kind of got Miata syndrome in the right way to where you don't have to actually manage any power. You just manage a little bit of weight transfer, and everywhere else you keep the throttle pinned. Like absolutely 100% pinned. Now, I don't know what you can do with this car in terms of upgrades, but I can tell you right now that it's very, very easy to position on the road, and like it flows through corners so easily and so well that I could see this thing just being so easy to drive that it demolishes in online races. I mean, hell, career races, online races, whatever you want to use it for. Now, I feel like an engine swap may destroy that, though. Like, if we were to put some sort of crazy engine in this thing, I feel like that would kind of destroy the balance. And that, yeah, I go back and forth on. You know what I mean? Like, I go back and forth on whether or not it would. But before we do any more of that, let's go to one of our houses and put some parts in this thing, or throw some parts at this thing, and see what that stock engine can make, and also see what options we have as far as building the car. We'll see if it's already on a race suspension or considered to be on a race suspension, or if it's considered to already have race brakes, which some cars are, but I'm not sure whether or not this particular car is. Now, Speaking to that, the car also probably doesn't have any weird paint options or any custom paint options. Well, actually, I take that back. It probably has paint options for, like, the wheels, obviously. Oh, damn. Body, hood, wheels. Wow, what are your options for the body? Group 1 and Group 2. So, let's see. All groups would be basically changing the color of the... You know what this reminds me of? It just dawned on me. The Ford GT90. This reminds me, at least in the front, it reminds me of the Ford GT90. And if you guys remember what the Ford GT90 is, you'll see what I'm talking about, because the resemblance to the Ford GT90 is astounding in the front end anyway. The more I look at it, the more I'm like, is this a modern GT90, like, tribute or something? But anyways, that's what painting both groups at the same time will do. Now, if we paint Group 1, that will do the... Whoa! What? Is that supposed to be like that? I'm not sure that's Whoa! It's weird. That's weird. Like, is that supposed to be like that? I don't know if that's supposed to be like that or not. Let's just pick this for now, just for testing's sake. And then if we paint Group 2... Is that supposed to be like that? I'm not sure. It just doesn't seem like it's supposed to be that way. But here, let's do this, right? Let's do this. So, Group 1, manufacturer color. Group 2 will be like a semi-gloss red, which kind of looks cool, but only from the front. See, that looks really cool, but when you pan around to the back, it looks wrong. It just, something's not right here. And wait a second. Hold on. Could I just make it all look like that and then just go to the hood and do the same thing? So, like, I could make just the little slash. Wait a minute. What's actually getting painted right now? Nothing that I can see. Nothing is changing color right now. What? What? Nothing is changing color right now. Okay, so let's go to the wheels. So, Group 1, inner barrel and outer lip. So, basically, just like the inner barrel and the outer lip are the only things that you can change the color of apart from the wheel itself. I was kind of hoping that you could change the color of that center lock nut, but that's kind of one of those things that's like, you could kind of like take it or leave it, I guess. It's still weird. I don't get the idea behind the way the paint looks. It's very, very strange, and it's very odd. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to embrace the fact that it's odd, and I'm going to make half of it just semi-gloss red. Because why not? The option is there, and it looks cool from the front. You got to admit, it looks really, really cool from the front. Everywhere else, though, it looks wrong, and that's originally why I didn't want to do it. But it looks cool from the front, and so I'm okay with it. So, with that being said, let's see what you can do to this thing in the performance department, because I'm sure there's a whole host of performance mods that come along with a car like this. Now, the list is pretty small. So, engine upgrades, platform and handling, wheels and tires, and conversions. Now, platform and handling, you get upgradable brakes to race brakes. You get upgradable suspension to rally. It's already technically on a race suspension. No drift suspension option available, which, to be honest, I'm also not very surprised that there's no drift suspension option available on a car like this. While it would be cool, I'm not surprised that it isn't there. Now, tire compound, your only other option is rally tires. Wow, you can't even put, like, Horizon race tires on this car. Let's see. Front width can go up to a 285. Rear width can go up to a 325. Now, wheel style. These are probably on the lighter end of things, and I bet you everything else adds weight. Well, no, not quite. Wow, okay, so they're not actually, like, super light wheels. They're, like, kind of light, but not the lightest thing you could have. So, let's see. What would be better? What would be lighter? Kind of want to throw something really light on here, but the only thing that I can think of that would look good is probably... Those actually look kind of cool because they look kind of retro, but... Whoa, 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 whoa. Still not feeling those, though. These I'm okay with. These I'm genuinely okay with because they take off 15 pounds and they look like proper motorsports wheels. Now, fortunately, we do have track width adjustment, so we can go a really good amount we can give them a really good amount of offset and make them basically perfect flush, so they look really, really good. I'm not going to mess with the sizing of the wheels because we don't need to, but I am going to see what this engine can do. Wow, there's like not a lot of options for the engine. Race cams and valves, race engine block, race pistons and compression, race turbo, which is close to being fully upgraded anyway, and that gives us a grand total of 691 horsepower and 589 foot-pounds of torque at an S2 989. So it's pretty high up there. It's pretty high up there, and for being an S2 car, it doesn't have usual S2 power. So the opponents that you're normally going to go up against are going to have a lot more power than you. Now, whether or not this thing can make up for that in the corners remains to be seen, but we're going to drive it, and we're going to see what it can do, and then we're going to race it against some unbeatable AI, and we're going to see how it actually does drive. So, pulling away here, does it have traction in first? No. Does it have traction in second? Yes, it does. It definitely feels like the chassis is okay with the extra power. Like, I feel like this is how the car should have come. Like, literally, I feel like this is how the car should have come from the get-go. It needs new gearing, though. It definitely needs new gearing, and it needs longer gearing. It could definitely benefit from that, but maybe just a longer sixth. Sixth is a little too close to fifth, in my opinion, because really, the benefit of a car like this would be in having something with the super close first to fifth, and then a really tall sixth for, like, highway stuff. You know what I mean? Because the highway stuff, for the highway stuff, you need that extra sixth because you got to get as far out ahead of everybody else as you freaking can in the corners with this car, because I guarantee you, if you race this car online, by the time you get to the highway, you will need to have a ton of distance, because by the time you get there, like, if you're not already way ahead of your opponents, they are going to catch you with their 1,000+ horsepower all-wheel drive power machines. They're genuinely going to catch you, and there's pretty much nothing that you can do about it. And that's one of the things that I think kind of sucks about this car. Now, after we do this race, we're going to take it back to the whoa! Whoa! Okay. That's genuinely cool. That's like a spaceship. That's actual spaceship stuff right there. But after this, we're going to take it back to the garage and see what our engine swap options are, because that could mean basically the last step in making this thing genuinely crazy. But let's race it against some proper S2 machines on unbeatable difficulty and see how this thing does in the freaking rain. That's not optimal, but we shall see. I gotta hand it to it. It's so planted, even in the rain. It's like just the suspension and the chassis and everything. It just feels like it's glued to the road. And that's obviously a good thing. You know, when you're talking about a car like this, you want it to be glued to the road. Goodbye, McLaren 720. Ooh, that's all over the place. Oh, wow. But if you let it step out, dude, if you let it step out, my God, it is so peaky. It is so peaky that, like, you want to be very, very, very careful. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me, dude? This is bad. This is really, really bad. We're going to have to do something about this because this race is so short, and I guarantee you we missed that shot. No, we didn't. Holy two wheels. Come on. See, on consistent radius corners, this thing is a monster. But look, it is being whoa, okay. It is being absolutely eaten alive when we come to any sort of straightaway. Any sort of straightaway, this car just gets eaten. See, and in the corners, we can gain ground. I don't race out here much, so... Oh, I hate that spot. Ooh, I hate that spot. That spot genuinely gets to me. But yeah, this thing is, as I go through a fence, amazing in the corners, but really, 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 really lacking in the straights. Like, look, it's just flying by us. I'm going to back out of that event because yes, it may not have been ideal situations in terms of the ideal situation in terms of testing the car, but it still gave me a little bit of an idea of what I wanted to know, and it feels so down on power for the class that it's in, and I know that there's going to be people out there that are going to say, no, it's just because you're a terrible driver. And that's the thing, is let me spend some time with the car and let me spend some time with the tune, and I'm sure that I could start to win races with it, but I still don't think it would be the optimal platform for anything, any course that wasn't completely and totally made up of corners. If a course had anything other than corners, this car would not be right for it. Now, the only thing that we have left to do is check and see if there's engine swap options. I don't know what I'll do if this thing has a V12 swap option. That's going to be hilarious. Although, we could get in there, and then they're just like, the only thing you can do is swap it to all-wheel drive. Which is very possible. That's genuinely very possible. So we can go in here, go to custom upgrades, go to conversion. We have engine swaps. What do we have? Turbo rally engine, 3-liter V8 racing engine, and the racing V12. Oh my god. Oh my god. You could put a twin-turbo racing V12 in this car. Why? You know why? Because stupid. That's why. Because stupid in the best way possible. That is freaking why. 2,200 pounds and over 1,000 horsepower. We know how that works out. But thankfully, this thing has, what was our final power figure? 19. Wow. Wow, I need to have my eyes checked, apparently. 1,191 horsepower and 623 foot-pounds of torque, weighing in at 2,368. So, it's good. It's a really damn good power-to-weight ratio. A genuinely good power-to-weight ratio. But, we're going to dial that gear ratio up a little bit and take it out to the highway and just see, as our one final test, if this thing, wow, it's a 410 from the factory. That's why. Let's see, 231. Let's make it like a 343. 236. Okay, so it's going down. Well, not really going down. Yeah, it was going down. 239, 1. 367, 238, 4. See, this is where this thing just, like, the actual, like, simulated dyno just gets weird. You can put it at whatever ratio you want, and it's still going to jump around and not give you an accurate number. And it'll basically bounce around within, like, 2 to 3 miles an hour of the actual top speed of the car. And that's kind of, let's just give it a 3.5. 3.5. No big deal. It says 238.4 miles an hour top speed. Let's now, wow, the downforce is all the way to speed from factory. 100%. That's going to destroy this thing for any sort of actual handling. But, whoa, the ride height is up all the way. Let's fix that. It's still going to be 238. What? 237.8. Okay, so, like, that's so confusing. That's so confusing. Okay, so regardless, we now have a KTM X-Bow GT4 with almost 1,200 horsepower. But we also have a highway at our disposal. Now, we're not going to make a ton of passes, but we are just going to see what this thing can, actually do. Like, because, like, you want to find out. At least I want to find out. That's the kind of, that's the kind of thing that you want to do when you have a car that you've never driven before that has almost 1,200 horsepower. You want to find out what it can do. But it does amaze me that no matter what I set that final drive to, the virtual dyno is basically going to just give you this general range that's like within 3 miles an hour of what the original top speed was anyway. Good God, that sound! Come on! Wow, it is not gaining speed as quickly as I had hoped. It's really not. Wow, it's really not. 36, 37, 38, 39, 39, 39, 38, 239. And it had another gear to go. That must be why. That must be why, because of the power band of the engine, there's a certain gear that you would get to. With the final drive being that low, you're going to hit basically your kind of aero limit versus power limit versus gearing limit in 5th instead of 6th. So it's a very cool, weird, quirky car. I'm not sure where it slots in, but if you just want something that's like interesting and kind of weird and kind of random and kind of cool, it definitely fits the bill. I'm not sure if it's going to be any sort of race-winning monster, but at the end of the day, it's definitely a car that I would still suggest checking out. So if you guys enjoyed this in-depth look at the KTM X-Bow GT4 in Forza Horizon 4, don't forget to click that like button. Tell me in the comments below what y'all thought of it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for more. I will see you guys next time. Talk to y'all later.